we can kind of we'll be real about it too. 3, do you want to keep holding the donkey?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary.
And I'm Brother Isaiah.
We are the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. This week we're picking up where we left off last week, and this week we're going to talk about discerning the right struggle. And I sort of want to begin almost with kind of like a little, caveat, disclaimer. I don't know like the right word. I'm not a wordsmith. So we're talking about a struggle, and the reality is like discerning the right struggle and walking in these really sort of intense and sensitive and personal areas. They're better when you have somebody accompanying with them. When you have somebody accompanying you, one-on-one, well-versed in the spiritual life. And so in a real way, like this video where we talk to you, it's in a certain sense, it's set up to fail if we're trying to complete, like, if we're trying to solve the whole problem, take the pain away or give the final answer. That's not what we're gonna do. But we are gonna hopefully kind of give some pointers, some tips on discerning the right struggle. So this is supposed to be a help, but it's not supposed to be everything you need. So just kind of
sort of foundations for the struggler.
Yeah, because once you start talking about struggles, it's just like we're going somewhere real sensitive. So you just got to we want to be careful. Yeah. Let's talk about like discerning the right struggle. And a lot of you have just seen that Brother Isaiah just put out like a new album called Poco, right? And myself, I was kind of helping with some of the final things to help land the plane, to get everything lined up. Things just weren't falling into place the way I wanted them to. And we had like the album release event, and I get this email back like a couple days, a little over a week before it, from the place making the CDs, and they're like, rejected, there's something wrong with the artwork. And immediately I get like super anxious, and immediately I get like super anxious, super stressed out, and my first instinct was like, okay, the right struggle, like what I need to do is solve this problem because we need to have these CDs at the event. And as I started going that direction, like slowly I said like, whoa, hold up. The Lord, I think it was the Lord who like pulled this little donkey's reins. He was like, whoa, hold on, little donkey. Hold on, little struggler. He's like, whose is this, right? Like, whose project is this? Whose work is this? And so I just had this time of prayer with the Lord. I said, Lord, I think this is what's supposed to happen. I think the CDs are supposed to be ready for this event. And there's a lot of really good reasons why I think that. But at the end of the day, Lord, I know this is your work. And so I'm just gonna give it back to you. And if this isn't the way you want things to unfold, like, okay, I trust you in that. For me, for this situation, the right struggle is to remember this is the Lord's work. And at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be faithful. I'm just trying to be faithful to what He's asking of me. And so for me, the right struggle was to give it back to the Lord, to keep doing what I could do, but not to take on the whole burden as if like this needs to happen, this is dependent on me. What are your thoughts on just, I don't know, similar experiences or?
Yeah, I think the starting place is at least to have this question. We're bringing this question to the Lord in prayer. Is it the right struggle? And again, it can be a difficult question because sometimes the struggles are very complicated. So again, having a guide, a very trustworthy friend, somebody well-versed in the spiritual life is huge. It's really irreplaceable for this kind of thing. But ultimately, we can bring this question to the Lord. Is it the right struggle? And just like Father Mark Mary brought that to the Lord took the struggle and was able to kind of reorient His view on it. He didn't take the struggle away, but He reoriented His view on the situation, which led Him into the right struggle, which was trust before the Lord. And so many times I find that's one thing the Lord does lead us to a deeper patience, a deeper stillness in the midst of the struggle. But that's only born of asking this question, is it the right struggle? And that's really one of the primary questions for discernment in the midst of the pain. Again, we talked about in the past few weeks that we don't necessarily have to run from the struggle. Rather, we need to lean into it with honesty and then bring this question to the Lord. Is it the right one? And if it is, then I can give myself to it. Some easier examples are the struggles of being, well, not easier, but simpler questions. The struggle of living a committed relationship in married life or in my vocation, being committed and living faithfully, the difficulties that come with that. That's the right struggle. Lord, I'm feeling anxious because I robbed the bank yesterday. Well, that anxiety is, that's kind of our own making, right? So that's where we want to be discerning is it the right struggle? And we also want to be aware that as humans, we're very prone to self-deception. So this is where prayer is very important, and very solid relationships are very important so that we can bounce this off, so that we can convince ourselves of a lot of things. And most of the time we're convincing ourselves why this struggle is not the right one. So let's just be aware of that, all right? That's usually our first tendency, is get this struggle out of my life. Once we're willing to stand in it a little bit more firmly, then we ask, is it the right one?
Yeah, and one of the words that I've been praying with a lot is, be still and know that I am God. And that sometimes, right, sometimes the right struggle is basically waiting on the Lord.
Yes.
And His time.
Yes.
And that's really hard. That's really hard, but sometimes that really is the right struggle.
Yes, the struggle to be still. Honestly, I've found that the struggle to be still is the struggle that gives birth to all other insights. So that's huge. Sometimes I think that's the most important struggle, is the struggle to be still, because out of stillness we begin to see the Lord's hand in things. And like Mother Teresa says, in the stillness of the heart, God speaks to us of His love. So it's in stillness that we're only able to see anything the way it may actually be, or hear anything the way things actually may be going. So that's a good place to start, the struggle to be still, right? It's very easy to run, especially when you're struggling, right? We all want to run from that, but the struggle to be still is a good starting place for ongoing discernment if this particular struggle I'm struggling with is the right one. In the first series of videos on the struggler, we talked about the donkey, my favorite animal, as an icon of the unexpected bearer of God's presence. And ultimately, the foundation for all of us strugglers, the hope that we have, is the truth that God loves the struggler. And that's where we begin. And that's what gives us the freedom to even think about possibly continuing in the struggle. Part 2 was the need to grow in honesty before God in the midst of the struggle. So to give God our struggles more honestly, maybe more articulately, more clearly, more simply, more straightforwardly in prayer. And the hope with that is that in honesty before God, we come to appreciate the value of the struggle, because we can't even begin to talk about anything else until we start to at least be open to the idea that our struggles are valuable. And then now the question is, for discernment, is it the right struggle? And this one, again, has to be nuanced because everybody's struggles are different. But ultimately to begin to ask God that question and to seek a deeper understanding there, so that if it is the right one, I can give myself completely to it. And if it's not, then I can peacefully let it go. So for all you struggling out there, if it's the right one, keep on struggling.
Keep on struggling, and struggle well, and struggle in prayer, and struggle with the Lord, and struggle with one, meaning don't fight with one another, but walk with one another. Struggle with one another. All right, strugglers, we will see you again next week. Poco a poco. Vamos a llegar. God bless you.
Peace.